this last year has been really tough and weird, and I've thought that I've had sort of a tough and weird life, and that's the thing that I think will surprise you. It surprises me all the time, but I think it'll surprise anyone, is that you never know how bad something can get. And you never know what's around the corner for you, whether that's something good and exciting and a new opportunity or something dangerous and terrible. And it's really easy to confuse those two things. You could meet a cute boy and think that, oh my gosh, your whole life is going to change because you're in love now. And then it turns out that he's a psychopath, or he doesn't like the kind of psycho that you are. Not that I'm speaking from personal experience or anything, but in this last year, over 100 people that I know personally have unfollowed me on Instagram, on social media. And what I think is really funny and interesting about that is that since April, I want to say, my followers have pretty much doubled from what the numbers were before. And so even though 100 people that know me personally have been like, you are so fucking annoying and weird, I don't want to see what you're up to anymore. A lot of new people that I don't know have come into my life and message me all the time and give me this weird false sense of like bravado, grandiose, delusions of grandeur. Like you think you matter because a stranger from Maryland messages you and tells you that, you made their day, or that they can relate to how you feel and what you're saying. And so, I don't know, I have this sort of love-hate relationship with social media because I want to create content that's interesting and appealing to people, but also that's real and not glamorizing this glamorous life that I have. So I try and mix up what I'm posting, with hi, how you feeling today? I want to die, with like this cool rooftop bar that I went to or some shit like that. I don't know. What I'm trying to say is that everything that you see online is fake. And if you think someone is happy or cool or they have it made or wow, their life must be so great, you don't actually know anything about them or what they're really feeling or thinking every time they hit that little post button. If you want to know what I'm thinking and feeling when I hit it, is that the only person I really care about who sees my social media is like blocked me, so it doesn't even matter that none of this matters. So hi, how are you? I'm doing obviously so great. The holidays make me feel really wonderful and warm, except wait, what's the opposite of that? Right. Like I want to die. The holidays make me feel like I want to die. And I don't have a job and I don't really have any hobbies or structure or really like consistent activities that I partake in. And I think that if you follow me on Instagram, if you don't, you should. But if you follow me on Instagram, you're probably like, wow, this girl has so much fun. And she's really living this like cushy, groovy lifestyle. And if you want to trade with me, you can. Here's what you have to trade. Everyone that you love is dead. And everyone that you care about has betrayed you. And every opportunity that you've ever had, you fucked up. So it's all yours now, babe. You got it. I want to sell drugs again, but I can't. It's really hard not to, because I'm tempted to get back into it every day. I have a lot of friends who sell drugs, and I have a lot of connections that would make it really fucking easy for me to fall back into that world. And it's something that I struggle with every day. It's so hard for someone in my situation to get a job, just to have like a regular job. Whole Foods wouldn't hire me. Starbucks wouldn't hire me. I couldn't get a job at a fucking grocery store. but I could like sell Molly on the weekends, like real easily. You know, I could like sling mushrooms during the week and it would be chill. But then I would have to, you know, come to terms with the risk that I am all too familiar with. So trying not to sell drugs, trying to make it through the holidays, trying to respect and honor my inner child in a way that, you know, allows me to heal. And I hope that that's what this podcast eventually becomes, is sort of like a path or some kind of, you know, instructional guide that I'm sort of living out in real time on healing and, you know, getting better, whatever that means. Because I don't think selling drugs is wrong, but I think that the inherent risk that comes with that lifestyle is scary and it sucks. And if you sell drugs currently, I mean, like, I love you, and thoughts and prayers, man. That's that's really all you can get these days, right? Because the world is corrupt, and everything that is gonna happen is already sort of set in stone by the powers that be, and we are just these little cogs in a machine, like trying to experience our individuality while also knowing that the world is fucked up and there's nothing you can do about it. And the political game is just a show to sort of lie to people and make them think, like, sort of pander to them and patronize the American people into thinking that they have any say in it. I mean, anywhere, all over the world, it's like you have any say in it. Like, you don't. None of us do. But also none of this is real. So, you know, I guess it's fine either way, really. I'm trying to learn how to be fine with that. So that's my IRL check-in. How are you guys doing? I've really enjoyed hearing from all of you. I appreciate all of the ones of you reaching out to me saying, like, hey, where have you been on social media? I'm fucking sad. And, you know, I'll post when I feel like it. But, you know, it's like you don't need it, you know? You don't need any of that stuff. Even if you think you do, you don't. I feel like my grief is like this weighted blanket that I can't take off, you know? And it doesn't feel good. It just feels heavy. I feel like everywhere I go, everything I do, I'm just like the sad chick, you know, that's trying not to cry. I'm just barely hanging on, and everyone that sees me in real life knows that. But if you see me online, you're probably like, oh, she likes to have fun. I do. But I'm trying to talk less, listen more, do comedy, even though it sucks and it's so hard. It's so hard. It's so hard to do comedy, and it's so hard to do comedy when you feel sad, because it's painful enough as it is. If you want to like know what doing comedy is like, go tell your deepest, darkest, innermost feelings and thoughts to a room full of people that don't give a fuck about you, and have them look back at you in total silence for 5 minutes straight, and then you'll really know what it's like. You know, like, hopefully you make people laugh once in a while. And I love when people reach out to me and they're like, your podcast is funny, because I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. Because it's hard, man. It's hard to be funny on purpose, you know? I know what this episode is about, but I'm just feeling like I love you guys, and I want to I wish that you could talk back, you know, even though I'm not good at talking to people in conversation, you know, like the interviews suck. Yeah, I know. But I wish you guys could all talk back to me when I'm sitting in here telling you about these stories, because I'm sure you have questions, and I'm sure there's stuff going on in your mind, and I'm sure you're like, you dumb bitch, like so many times. If you think I don't know that, I do. So you definitely don't have to message me and tell me that. But, you know, I'm there. I'm with you. I just can't talk to anyone. I can't listen to anyone. So I have a funny little story for you guys. This is like Instagram versus reality. So about a week or so ago, I went out to go techno with some friends. I went to like a party and I got Molly and I got like a crew and I got tickets to this really cool DJ that I was so excited to see. And then I went out with these people, and this is why I hate people and why I hate going out in general and why social media is a lie. So I post all these pictures. I do this whole story of like how I'm like going out and having a great time and isn't my life fun and doesn't this look exciting and don't you guys want to like follow my content so you can see what I'm up to? But it's all just a bunch of bullshit. I went out and I gave Molly to this girl who I've known for maybe like 10 years or so. I used to sell pot to her and now we're just friends in real life. And I gave Molly to her when she was too drunk and I instinctively knew that it was a bad idea. And I was at this concert that was kind of expensive and I'd gone through all this trouble to like make this night happen. And lo and behold, the girl that I was with, not Lex, did too much Molly. She did way too much Molly, like to the point where she was foaming at the mouth and like couldn't stand up. And this happens to me a lot when I go out and party with other people where I am comfortable exercising restraint. And I also am very seasoned when it comes to the kinds of drugs that I do. So I know how much to do. I know how it's going to affect me. I know when to wait. I know when to take more. And not everyone has that sort of discretion. So I usually end up being like the mom out of the group. I have to, pull someone back or take care of them when they get fucked up. And my friend got so fucked up that she got kicked out of the club that we were at. Her ride was super far away and we had to stand outside propping her up with our bodies while she was just rolling her fucking dick off, having the time of her life, but totally ruining our night. And I'm just saying, I don't know where I'm going with that story other than social media is a lie, that no one is having as much fun as they seem like they're having, and nobody's really posting about the fucked up bullshit that's going on in their lives. I'm not gonna like post a story about how I cried all day and ate guacamole for the third time in a row for dinner. Like that's not what goes on my Instagram, but maybe it should. I don't know. If that's the kind of content you want to see, reach out, let me know. So last time we were in it together. I was in Japan. I was reading you this really embarrassing email that I wrote my ex-boyfriend. Shout out to all the people who reached out about that email. I appreciate what you had to say about it and not making me feel like more of a fucking loser. Shout out to that guy's new girlfriend who definitely doesn't know that he's gay. And shout out to me for not sending her a very explicit video of him sucking someone else's dick. Anyways, so my last bit of my Asian excursion was I went to Shanghai with these two girls that I met. And I had like a little bit of fun, like a little tiny bit of fun before I had to come back to the States and come back to my life and come back to this, new sober intensive drug probation that I'm on now. So that's what this episode is about. Intensive drug probation. When I got sentenced originally, I didn't get any kind of probation. I just got straight to jail. Don't pass go. Don't collect $200. Fuck you. Fuck your life. Go to jail. So I went to jail. And when I violated my parole, my sentence was rehab and intensive drug probation. So I'm going to tell you the difference between regular probation and intensive drug probation. So regular probation, you check in once a month. They can come to your house randomly, but very often they don't. As long as you pass your drug tests and do all of the required reading, whatever that is, if you have to take a drug and alcohol class or, whatever fucking bullshit you got arrested for, as long as you do that stuff, as long as you don't get rearrested, as long as you don't fail a drug test, you can get through probation pretty easily in comparison to what it's like to be on intensive drug probation, which in my opinion is designed for people to fail because it's more advantageous for the system to have you in it and, they're going to give you an opportunity and give you enough rope to hang yourself with. So intensive drug probation means that you have to check in once a week. So once a week, you have to go into the probation office and take a drug test. They also come to your house every single month and take a look around, make sure that you're where you say you are, make sure that you're allowed to be there, make sure that you're paying your bills, that you're not squatting. And also, by the way, if you're not like a privileged white kid with lots of resources and parents and people that are going to support you through this, tell me how someone who's coming from the street is supposed to check in once a week. And, it's like Monday through Friday, sometimes between 8 and 4 p.m. So definitely working hours. So you have to get a job, but this job also has to allow you to go into probation every week so you can take a drug test. And sometimes you're there for fucking hours waiting for them to test you. So, just like good luck, right? Good luck getting through it. I was sober for the 90 days that I was in rehab. And then I was sober for the 90 days that I was in Japan working. And then I got back and now I'm 6 months sober. And this is the longest that I've spent not smoking weed or doing any sort of hard drugs since I was 14, which is kind of incredible and a little sad. But so what? I had a female probation officer this time because I am white and privileged, and I had my uncle make a call so that I specifically could get matched up with someone female. And just real quick, I know that maybe it's annoying or virtue signaling or something when I talk about my privilege or whatever, but if I don't acknowledge it, then I'm the asshole, And if I do acknowledge it, too much? Then I'm an asshole? It's just like, let me break something down for you real quick. I have spent roughly $1,500 in the last year to put this podcast out for you. And that doesn't include like extracurricular expenses, like the sheet of acid that I bought so I could give people drugs for free who write podcast reviews. That offer's still going, by the way. It's more like I'm doing this as a public service, and yeah, I hope that it's successful eventually. And yeah, it's like cool when you guys post about it and do stuff like that. I really, really appreciate it. But I'm putting this out there for you, for people to understand a side of life that most people aren't as familiar with. A lot of people buy drugs, but a lot of people don't know what happens to the people who are selling those drugs and making them available to you. So I'm making this available to you on top of drugs. And by the way, if you're any kind of law enforcement and you're listening to this, everything that I say here is a joke, and it falls into my rights of my First Amendment free speech, and is not actually real or implicates me in any kind of crime, past, present, or future. Anyways, I had a female officer, and she fucking hated me. She read my whole file. She had this thing that my psychiatrist had to write for the judge initially when I got arrested maybe 4 years ago that said I was, some kind of like crazy genius. It had like my IQ and then like all the bad stuff that had happened to me. And she like sat down with me the first day in her office, and she just said, "Look, you don't belong here, and I don't feel bad for you. So this is your fault, and we're not friends, but, we're going to get through the next 2 years of this shit together." So I'm just looking at this woman. She's made it plainly clear how she feels about me, and I'm just like, word, I better not fuck around or fuck this up. That lasted for about 3 days, and then I started trying to figure out ways to pass a drug test undetected. So when I would go in there once a week, she would take me into the bathroom. She would have me, pull my pants all the way down. I would have to sit in a, stall with her standing maybe 3 feet away from me and watch me hold a cup while I peed into it. And it's really hard to pee on command if someone is watching you. So she would get really frustrated with me because it would take me a really long time to pee because I kind of had a shy bladder. And the more frustrated she would get, the harder it would be for me to pee. And so sometimes I would just sit there for hours and hours and hours while I drank, cups and cups of water so that I could have such a full bladder that I could just sit and pee. And so this was like a little dance that we did for not very long before I tried to find some way around this. And this is why jail doesn't work on me or anyone. What eventually happened is I met up with a girl that I was in rehab with, and she kind of shared with me, some tips and tricks on how to pass a drug test. And I told you guys a long time ago I was going to give you all of this info, and I kind of did in the interview with Katie Oliver. But now, again, here, in case you skip the interviews, I'm going to tell you guys how to pass a drug test for probation. If you're a female, if they're watching you pee, I'm going to give you a foolproof step-by-step guide. And I did a lot of trial and error, so I figured out how to make this work. Essentially what I did, and you can get fake pee or clean pee from somewhere else, but what I did personally, because I had been clean for 6 months at this point, is I peed into a giant jar, like a giant bell jar, over and over again until I had filled up like a 32-ounce jar full of clean urine, and then I froze it. And then I got a 5-hour energy bottle, emptied it out, obviously, filled it up with clean pee. And if you want to make the most of it, you can even fill it up with half of your pee and half with water. I did that a couple of times when I was running low. So it was actually my pee, which I'm not sure if they can test you on, but it was my own urine. I filled it up as much as I could. I froze it. I put it in this 5-hour energy bottle. I covered the lid with tin foil and wrapped a rubber band around the lip of it, and then stuck it upside down inside of me. I practiced with my cousin a few times so that she could watch me like fake pee and make sure that it didn't show. So I would recommend finding someone you trust to practice with, just to, have it down. So when you're doing it in front of your probation officer, it's not as sketchy looking, or you're not so nervous, because I was real nervous the first time. I was going to use saran wrap, and this girl from rehab told me to use tinfoil instead, which was such a better idea because it's much easier to poke through. So what you do is you hold the, cup, the drug cup underneath you, poke the tinfoil with your thumb, and then the clean urine will fall into the cup. It's important that you put the 5-hour energy bottle inside of you about 45 minutes before you're going to take the test so that it warms up to body temperature. And then you're good to go. So I was really only clean off of pot and other things for about 6.5 months total before I figured out this little trick. And to be honest, after I started faking the drug test, things with my probation officer got a lot better because she wouldn't have to wait for me to pee and it would not take so long. So I got that done. There were a lot of hoops that I had to jump through to be on intensive drug probation. I had to go to a drug and alcohol class. I had to be in therapy. I had to pay all these fines. I had to do my weekly drug test. I had to get a job. I had to prove that I had a job. I had to have monthly home visits. It was just one thing after another. And if I hadn't been me in my situation, I really don't know how anyone else could have gone through that successfully. I'm surprised I even made it successfully because I've fucked up a lot. And it's hard for me to get my fucking shit together. So during this time, I didn't really have a lot of friends, and I had sort of like a double life. The people that I had met after this point, the people that I met after I went to prison, the people that I met in this new life where I wasn't dealing drugs anymore. I'm not this hippie chick that's, got it all going on. Now I'm just kind of picking up the pieces, trying to pretend like I'm normal and trying to fool everyone into thinking that nothing's wrong and I'm totally fine. I'm not fine. Everything's wrong. No one really knows what's going on with me for real. And that's kind of, back then I didn't have an Instagram. I didn't really care about Facebook at all. There was no way for you to see from the outside what was really going on unless you knew me. And what you would know from me, at this point in my life is that I have a good job, is that I seem pretty normal and responsible, and you'd never know I went to jail or had this whole fucked up, seriously broken, depraved life experiences. So I'm two people. I'm this person who's going to intensive drug probation once a week that no one knows about and faking drug tests. And I'm a clerk at a law firm with, a long distance boyfriend and a normal life. I think that's what I've always wanted, is a normal life. And I think that's why I'm always trying to pretend like everything's fine and like I'm normal when I'm just not, that's just not who I am. I'm trying to embrace that part of my life now, but it's really hard. There's all this stuff from the outside, from things that you see with other people and things that you see on TV, and just, this sort of drive towards like normalcy. It's like, yeah, you want to be, an independent weirdo, but you also want a job and a place to live and like a relationship that mimics some kind of, healthy dynamic. And I don't have any of those things at this point in my life or now actually. But from the outside back then, you think I did. Even now you think maybe I had kind of like a normal life. I don't. I just have a lot of secrets and sort of a loss of identity, and I'm just building up to disaster. I'm just getting like closer and closer to the point where one day I'm just going to snap and jump off a fucking building. So I have this normal life from the outside. Every day I'm waking up, I'm going to work, I'm working all day, I'm coming home, I'm Skyping with my boyfriend who's in France, I'm smoking weed, and also I'm on intensive drug probation. And once a week I'm going in for drug tests, and I'm jumping through all these hoops so I don't go back to jail. So I didn't really have a life. I didn't have any hobbies. I didn't have anything where I was expressing myself and being creative or anything that brought me real joy. And I think that this happens a lot when you're sort of on this path of healing, is that you forget that you're also supposed to incorporate, fun and excitement and something that makes you feel alive. And I think this is a lot of what led to my demise. Is at this point I didn't realize how important it was to still feel alive, to still do things that were important and valuable in a way that helped me get all of the stuff out that I had inside, whether that's like dancing my troubles away or hiking for a really long time or doing some kind of meditative, spiritual inner work. I'm not really doing any of that stuff right now. Right now, I'm just so focused on being normal. Wake up, go to work, smoke weed, talk to this guy that you think you love, and don't fuck up. Don't fuck up your probation. Don't go back to jail. I think that also I forget that now. Now I'm kind of in this place where I'm like, yeah, like wake up, have fun, fuck being normal, but I forget about the whole don't go back to jail part. I gotta work harder on that sort of balance right now, because I don't have anything figured out yet. Even now, even sitting here with this podcast and with people that are like, I've never met you and I love you, like even that doesn't make me feel like okay. Like none of that stuff is real. And I think that you and I are going to figure out how to really heal whatever the fuck is wrong with you together. And so I'm working on it. Before, when I was on intensive drug probation, I just thought normal life, just be normal, just like don't let anyone know that you're fucking a psycho, that you are a fucking psycho and that you're also fucking a psycho. And now I'm just like, okay, you're a psycho, you're a psycho, you're a psycho. Convince people that you're normal. But I'm also still fucking psycho. So accepting applications now and in perpetuity. I hate the holidays, you guys. I hate them so much. I'm going to tell you a little story about the holidays because I feel like this is going to come out right around then. So my family has money. Cool, whatever, doesn't matter. My family has money, and every year my grandparents, specifically my grandmother, sort of used Christmas as like a tally sheet, you know. She would sort of decide how well or how poorly you had done throughout the year to please her or in your own life. And she would use Christmas as like a time to either reward you or show you how much she thought of you. There was this one year, I remember, because I was so young when this happened, but I remember my mom never shut up about it. And this isn't the stuff that is important about Christmas, but this is what my family is like. So this is where our value, you know, came from. It was just always like a monetary basis of what your worth was. So one year, my grandparents bought one of my aunts a car. They bought her like a Mini Cooper or something for Christmas, and they gave it to her, and it had a bow on it, and it was this, everyone went outside, and it was so exciting, and she had gotten married that year, so it just kind of like a whole thing. And that same year, that same Christmas, that same night, my mother had received a bottle of half-used perfume, and that was maybe one of the only gifts she had gotten that year. And it just kind of like showed everyone and her, you know, like, this is someone who's doing good and you're someone who's doing bad. And now this example is pretty fucked up, but this is what it was like my whole life growing up around Christmas. Is, you know, Christmas was when you got your performance review. You found out, you know, what the people who are supposed to love you unconditionally really thought of you. And mostly it's not much, you know. I've never been the one who's like pleased the people in my family. I've always sort of been recovering from some kind of fuck up. So I've never been on the side of like, oh wow, this is great and I feel good about myself, except maybe when I was way too young to understand what was going on. As soon as I got old enough to understand what was going on, I've just been a consistent disappointment. So if you say anything about me, at least I'm consistent. No, I'm just kidding. But I hate the holidays, and I hate this reminder of like materialism and like worthiness, because it's like we're only as valuable as how much money we have, or, you know, how well you follow direction or rules, or every family has like expectations of you, and it's like, how well do you live up to those expectations? And so the holidays just remind me that that I'm never good enough, and I never will be, because everything that I think and believe is wrong or the opposite of, you know, the values that I was raised in. But I hope you guys have a happy Christmas. That your family is not like that. And also that if you are alone or sad, or you have some weird fucked up bullshit with your family, that also none of that is real. And that you are worthy of every perfect and lovely thing. And I've been saying that to sad comedians lately that I know. And I think that maybe I should also say it to myself, but I also want to say it to you, is that you are deserving of every perfect and lovely thing. And that no one else is ever going to make you feel good enough about yourself. You know, no matter what they give you or what they have to provide for you in your life. I wish that was something that my mother had learned, and I really hope that that's something that I can fucking figure out. And you too. Just that nothing anyone else has is gonna make you feel good about yourself. You just have to like, oh, this is so fucking gay. You just have to love yourself. You just have to love yourself. So I hope you, I hope that that's like your Christmas miracle, is that you figure out how to love yourself. Because that's what Jesus would have really wanted, and he probably hates all of this Santa Claus bullshit. It's my guess. Anyways, I love you guys. Keep coming back. You know, it works if you work it. No, I'm just kidding. That's not what this podcast is.